play against Brianna Stewart. She goes to the line 14 times. Asia Wilson goes to the line 13 times. And Aaliyah Boston can't play 20 minutes in a game without being on the bench in foul trouble. That's another problem that we're dealing with. But like I said, this year, it's not just Caitlin Clark. If you wear that Indiana Fever jersey, consider it done. The refs are not going to be fair, and they are going to cheat and do whatever it takes to do what the higher-ups say.
Hold up. That last line? That's not a throwaway. That's the clue, the crack in the official story. While everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark's injury, fan outrage, and the so-called All-Star disaster, most are missing what really matters. Because what just happened wasn't random chaos, it was a calculated move. And today, we're connecting the dots to expose a theory that no one in mainstream sports media wants to touch. What if WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert orchestrated this entire narrative collapse, not as a failure of leadership, but as a strategy? A long game to gain the upper hand before the league's biggest battle, the 2025 CBA negotiations. Let's start with the facts. On July 15th, Clark suffers a groin injury in the final minute against Connecticut. 2 days later, the announcement drops, she's out of All-Star Weekend. The result? Ticket prices crash. Headlines call it a boycott. Clark's absence becomes the disaster of the year. But then, a twist. The All-Star Game? Officially a sellout. Over 16,900 fans in the building. In the middle of a supposed market collapse. That's not organic. That's engineered. So how did a financially disastrous event magically turn into a sellout? Who filled those seats? Local camps? Corporate ticket dumps? Discounted giveaways to hide the truth? This isn't just a question of attendance, it's a red flag. Optics were being managed. And when image control is this tight, you have to ask, what are they trying to hide? Because the real issue isn't Clark's absence. It's the silence and deflection from the league's top brass. And nowhere was that clearer than when Commissioner Engelbert finally spoke. She was asked about officiating, the same officiating many believe led to Clark's injury, and she said one sentence that set off alarm bells. V2. No one's ever happy with
I know as a fan of sports for 60 years now, I know that, no one's ever happy with officiating. All sports deal with it, but we're working hard to make sure we're putting the best product out on the court, and our officiating then follows that.
Ever happy with officiating. That's not leadership. That's dismissal. In the middle of the league's biggest controversy, Engelbert brushed off player safety like it was background noise. That's not clumsy PR, that's calculated narrative control. She didn't address concerns, she diminished them. She didn't ease tensions, she flexed authority. That was a message to the players, you're not in charge. I am. And that's when the players fought back. They didn't post tweets. They didn't go to the media. They showed up in warm-ups wearing shirts that said, "Pay us what you owe us." Not a suggestion. A warning. And when Engelbert appeared courtside, the fans turned. "Pay them," chants echoed through the arena. This wasn't a meltdown. It was a message. A unified player protest at the league's most public event. Why now? Because the clock is ticking. October 31st, 2025, the current CBA expires. That's the real battlefield. And what's up for grabs? Salaries. Revenue split. Travel conditions. Officiating standards. Player safety. Everything. The players aren't just upset, they're mobilizing. And All-Star Weekend was their first shot. The league, meanwhile, is playing chess. By allowing chaos to erupt and pretending everything's fine, Engelbert is crafting a dangerous narrative that the WNBA isn't stable, that Clark's absence equals collapse. Why would she do that? Leverage. In the CBA room, when the union demands more money, Engelbert gets to point at All-Star Weekend and say, "Are we booming? Or are we one injury away from disaster?" It's ruthless, but smart. It's the commissioner's gambit, manufacturing instability to keep player demands in check. And the rumors? They're growing louder. Whispers of ties between refs and league leadership. Unproven. Speculative. But still spreading. Because when trust erodes, perception becomes power. And on the other side? The players aren't staying quiet. Coaches like Stephanie White are calling out the double standard. All-Star MVP Nafisa Collier openly thanks fans for backing the protest. These aren't sound bites. They're coordinated strikes. The players are building alliances. With fans. With media. With each other. Because they know they can't win this fight alone. So here's the truth. This wasn't just a bad week for the WNBA. It was the start of something much bigger. The league's most powerful figures and its rising player voices are now locked in a cold war. Every quote, every protest, every injury, every silence. It's all part of the fight for the future of the WNBA. And whether you're team commissioner or team players union, one thing's for sure. The game behind the game has just begun.